revolutions per minute again, and it's nice to be back after a while. So we would like to say hi, hello there, belated Happy New Year, and I hope you have prepared all your New Year's resolutions, and I hope you're going to do them, and you have written them down and post them where you see them every day. All right, so this is Martinoff, your host. And today, of course, still our famous executive coaches are here with me today. Executive coach, international executive coach, Miss Vicki Martinoff, and the one and only, my hero, the writer of the best book that one should read, Exponential Power,
Develop exponential power.
Developing.
No, develop.
Develop exponential power.
That's right.
Correct. So,
we got it right!
I've just been away for a month already, forgot that very book, because I did not read it for 3 weeks. I was very busy with my family, having holidays in
the pictures are so cute, though.
And Montemar. You know what? When you are with the people you really love and you really care so much about in this world, like nothing matters. Like, you're in paradise. Actually, the place that you go only becomes a paradise when you are with the people you share it with.
It doesn't matter what it looks like, right?
Correct. My son says they love the Philippines. They said, Mommy, Daddy, why don't we live here? I said, Mommy and Daddy don't have jobs here. We live with Grandma. She can cook food for us. It's so cute.
Yay! You know, when they're a little bit older, they can probably come live with you during their vacations, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And hopefully I have to go there again. If financial funds. But, of course, today we are on a January, and I know you've been talking about integrity, all the beautiful values and principles.
We're talking about the law of attraction.
Yeah, which are all in your book.
Yes.
Development of Exponential Power, and you should have that. Okay, today we have a very, very special guest. I grabbed him. He was with us last night in my home, and we talked briefly about life and family life. about my life, my family life. Of course, Martin Kirk's life is very controversial.
Is it?
Very mysterious.
Secretive.
So, my friend Dong
and exciting.
Let's listen. Let me hear. So I give him briefly all about my family, my background of my marriage, which needs real reading of good family laws. So maybe I really should learn more from him. Okay, so our guest, before I give him to you, I'll give the microphone to Miss Vicki Martinoff. Say hi to you guys.
Oh, Marlon, we really missed you a lot. I didn't realize it's been 3 weeks, Bjorn, but
time flies.
Bjorn, talking about, foundations on what can be amazing to create a successful 2016. And I'm so glad you're here, Marlon.
Yeah, and I was just thinking while I was in the bathroom while showering, and saying, what have I in my New Year's resolution? What am I to do to better myself? So, but before we talk about, we'll briefly ask each other's New Year's resolution, including Dong, our guest. But let me talk about, or give us a brief profile of our guest, Mr. Wow. His name is Atty Pacia. And he's from Ilocos like me, Ilocano, and half Bicolano. And of course, his father is from Isabela and mother from Daet, Camarines Norte. Graduate of Commercial Arts, major in Public Relations and Advertising. Oh, we need you. From the Lyceum of Philippines. And Master Administration. And in communication and management. Yeah, from PLM and master also. Master Arts in language and reading from UP Diliman University. And now he has his Juris Doctor of Law from Universidad de Manila. That's different from the University of Manila. So it's called now Unibersidad de Manila.
That's the sister university of the Pamantasan Luzon of Manila.
Okay.
Under the city of Manila.
That's the more intelligent.
No, not necessarily.
Or the better class. No. Anyway, so University of Manila, And he's been in the media industry for 20 years and teaching both in college. He's a professor and also taught grade 10 to 12 program from international school.
Yes.
He taught in international school. Also an events director, and manager of this of different corporate industries, both local and international. And now is also a part of Toastmaster International. I want to be one. With our friend Toastmaster. The one.
Dinah.
Yeah, Dina.
Dynamic Dinah.
Dynamic Dina.
Hi Dina, in case you're listening out there, we miss you.
Yes, she should come here again.
Yes.
Part of Toastmaster International, has been a member of Rotary International District 382 in San Pablo, Laguna, and giving trainings and workshops and values education and teaching techniques. Oh wow. Oh, we need you, right? You should be in our management development organizational development and all that. Okay, so our guest is no other than Mr. Dong. Oh no, shall I call it just Dong? I call him Dong.
Yeah.
So he's a future attorney without a period yet because he's graduating and he's in his practicum. And today he'll be giving me practical advices. Mr. Dong Pacia, say hello, please.
Good morning, or should I say good afternoon to all the audience out there, and good afternoon also. Happy New Year to happy 2016 and to all of us also.
Yes, and happy 2016 to you. And Bjorn?
Yes, happy 2016. Welcome back. Marlon, excited to have seen your pictures on Facebook. Your grandchildren.
Yes.
They're so adorable. It's like so cute. I just want to pinch their cheeks.
I know, I just stare at them. And it fills my heart.
Oh.
They're a bit naughty.
Well, of course,
It's
that's
just
their
normal.
job, right?
And they're so active. So I have to be active too. So I said to God, and part of my resolution is to really be healthier because I still want to run around with them because really they run so fast. And my other grandson is already being trained as a future Messi, a football player, soccer player for Denmark.
Nice.
They start them young.
Yeah.
And the other one too can kick both legs, the small one,
Wow.
and very fast.
Very fast.
Anyway, so that's my new. Let's talk about New Year's resolution first before we go to our main topic. So, what's your New Year's resolution?
Well, I always commit every day to continue to grow and change, and it's something that I think as many years will come, it's probably gonna just build up, those daily commitments of always growing. And I'm always inspired about health. So probably, if there's gonna be one huge label for 2016, it's really, measurable improvement in health.
Yeah, I think we all need that because prosperity only comes when you are healthy, right?
Yeah.
How about you, Bjorn?
Yeah, we don't, like Vicki says, we don't really wait for New Year's to make resolutions or set goals. To us, goals are an everyday thing. And if you only set it once a year, you run danger of not really practicing that make it happen muscle,
Yeah.
in a way, right? And then you set goals every day, and of course also short-term and long-term goals, then it becomes a lot easier. It becomes a daily practice. It's kind of like going to the gym. You go to the gym once a year, or you do it every day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different life.
You have to make it a habit.
Yes.
And it takes only 7 days, they say, to make a habit.
I think it's more like 21.
Okay.
Depending on what expert you ask.
Yeah, if it becomes
Bless you.
to really be a part of it, 21 days, it becomes a part of your own. How about you, Dawn, our guest?
I have set already 3 systems of goals for 2016.
3 systems?
Yes, that is the usual long range goals, short range goals, and the medium range goals. But my long range goal is to be able to graduate and to be able to attain my law degree at the same time to, should I say, pass the bar exam. because it's really hard. It's you have to harden a lot in
True.
taking the bar exam. Number 2 is to be able to be more, should I say, open and more consistent with my family relationship.
Oh.
Because that's what I really
You like?
miss. Because we have had a what you call this, a reunion last December 25 last year, and it's so nice to be together. It's so nice to
be with the family.
to be with the family. We are 17 because my father has 3 wives,
Oh.
and we are all, should I say, united. We are
So
not
you're
really
Muslim?
scattered. My father is not.
So is this what got you the family law?
That's why now you know some of the problems.
Legal questions.
Yes.
Yeah, so sometimes you can track the history of a person,
Yes,
right? And then
yes.
you go discover the reason why they got interested in something.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
know.
the case with you?
Somehow.
Somehow.
Are you in the first family?
No,
In
of
first
course,
wife?
I am the eldest among the 17 brood.
Wow.
Among the 17 children.
Well, I'm
You know, in America, brood is only used for animals.
That's it.
I'm really surprised that in
Correct,
the Philippines
correct.
it's being used for human
Yeah,
beings.
the language context
That's
of
for
some of the Asian
Australia.
context
But
language.
then again, the former slave masters like to call the brood, so
Correct,
maybe
correct,
that's where
correct.
that came from.
Attorney Dong, I couldn't help but start my math, activate my math.
Okay.
So in each family, what's the general average? Is it 6 siblings?
Ano po, first family we have 9. Second family we have, should I say, I believe 3. And the last family 4.
Amazing.
You have a busy father.
My father, I don't know, he's a member of the, it's called Tree Planting Academy of the Philippines. No, that's agriculture,
But I come from that big family too. My
Really?
father also, I come from the first wife, the legal wife.
But anyway, those are my good, should I say, the 3 systems that I need to pursue, to be more closer, because, your family is the most treasured, should I say, priceless gift that you have in your life.
So your father probably also had 3 goals: short-term, long-term.
Yeah.
First
The
friend,
line with the second half. Correct! I like it! You nailed it! It's good. I like it.
Okay, so what's your
It's a good conversation anyway.
and your
Joke
personal
na lang, yeah.
and your personal goal for
It's
yourself?
to be consistent. To be consistent in what I do. For example, I always teach to be more consistent in giving good talks, good lecture, and to raise the bar. Because Philippine setting of education, I'm not putting it down, but we need to be at par with the system of grade 12 outside the Philippines, specifically the neighboring countries, the Asian neighboring countries. For example, I'm not putting down, but of course, as part of the education system of the Philippines, we rank number 2, number 3 before, from the time of, should I say, Marcos Regime. I'm sorry if I'm dropping that name.
It's okay.
1965 to 1971, we rank number 2 among Asian countries, really so good in mathematics and science and English. But sadly to say, we rank number 48.
Now.
32.
Yeah.
In the world or in Asia?
No, not only in Asia, but for the world, I believe.
42 in Asia, that's probably almost last.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, because usually something gets done once
that.
we're last.
Yeah.
Nothing gets done until we're last, but once we're done,
The first and the
something
last.
seems to happen, right? It's like
Exactly.
with the airport, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Better to be in the right than nothing, right?
But we do hope that the government will do something, specifically the Department of Education.
I think
Nowadays,
hopefully
because
that-
we are taking the grade, this is the first year attack of the grade 11 system. The very first year for the grade 11 system. Next year will be the first year attack for the grade 12 system.
Yeah.
For this year is the introduction of the grade 11. And I do hope that those who will be teaching the grade 11, because it's like primary years for those who are taking the baccalaureate course for their courses like first year and second year college. I do hope that those teachers will be able to realize not only the beauty, but to realize the impact of the right educating people, or the right education for people.
I agree with you. However, I think hope may not be enough.
should I say, work act on it.
Yeah, work on it. Act on it. That's right.
You know, we should have
No, as
a
lawyers, we have to be
education.
very precise in our
correct,
language.
It seems you are an expert also in education, being a professor, you know. I think we should talk about that also, improving the educational system of the Philippines, because we need that. But although we're producing binibining universe and beauty,
Yes, yes.
girls who answers good, that means they have a good educational background, right?
Actually, I was very curious, how those measurements, like who and where is it being measured, right?
Exactly right,
Certain
correct.
schools probably will even say, we're topping the, among.
Correct. That's a good.
But if you start looking into, so you're just one school. How many schools are existing in the Philippines? And that's a very, very different game, right?
Yeah, correct. She has a point. That's also our point when we have this kind of conference together with all the teachers in the Philippines from Region 1 to the National Capital Region. So we have 14 regions to be exact in the context of Department of Education. One question was the question that Madam raised a while ago. Ma'am Vicki raised a while ago is that verbatim, should I say, the simple verbatim question that she asked, that it's only one school, how about the other schools? Yes, correct. But that system is being, should I say, executed by the system of the Asian countries worldwide, not only one school. Because somehow, for example, those private schools are really good, top 1, top 2 in the board examination. But how about those who are top 10, top 12, top 36, top 40? Or should I say, we have thousands of schools participating on this. But the context is, the bottom line is, do we have, should I say, the quality measurement for English development skills, for English speaking skills, for science and technology, for mathematics and numbers, and mostly for logical reasoning? Do we have those?
No.
Do we have those actually? So that's why when they have this kind of, should I say, statistical records, it's not only the measurement for one school, but it's also the measure will be participating school for about thousands of schools, and they average it, and they have the statistical records of it, and that's the result. I'm so sorry. I know I don't want to be shocked when I get out from this room, but
From the
that is the
Department of
real
Education.
context. No, that's the real context. But what I'm telling is that as part of the system, I should be able to create a very good environment for learning, for a standard education. The Department of Education or the government system should be able to set up a quality teacher education training.
That's the best.
Because you
That's
cannot
the
teach
start.
what you don't have. You cannot
Correct.
teach what you don't know.
You cannot give what you don't have.
Thank
Right?
you, Madam Vicki, for that wonderful question. I love it so much.
And thank you because, really, I hope that the government or one of our government leaders in the future who are gonna come out will really put education.
I'm looking at you, Marlon.
Yes, Tita Marlene.
It's still in the SC.
Tita Marlene. Ma'am Vicki is right.
There's a little problem. But hopefully by June 19 we get it. Alright, so I like that thing what you have mentioned. That's really very important. And that's also should be a resolution, a New Year's resolution for the government.
And may I add to that? In the comparative analysis, should I say, you have had several misconceptions and several, should I say, qualms with regard to quality education. Quality education is only quality when the graduates themselves be not only to put what we call the context of what they've learned into their job place or job works or job places, but also realizing that this kind of knowledge that they have should not be inculcated but should be developed continually. Should I say the continuing education. And the continuing education nowadays is just like you sit like what we do in the real world of education when we are in elementary and high school division, that teachers are talking, not that, but the context of facilitating well. And the children or the pupils or the students are the ones talking rather than the teachers do most of the talking.
That's what they're doing with Colegio San Agustin now.
And because, thank you so much, I do hope I could be able to,
Well,
to be able to get the system of Pedro San Jose and put them to at the helm of the Department of Education.
I'm so
as an example.
impressed.
As a model, should I say.
you know, last year,
Sorry for being so
a
emphatic
good
on that.
example is, so they were talking about accounting.
Mhm.
So what's the best way to accounting is to pretend to be a husband and wife.
Mm.
So they pretend to be married, so they account for how much they're gonna spend for their marriage, for their engagement, whatever they're gonna spend. And they did that. So they have to do pretend a wedding with all the accounted for what they need, how much they're gonna spend, until when they have a child and a maid, an apartment, and I hear the two of them saying,
Mhm, mhm.
no, we should stay in Pasay, it's cheaper. Makati is more expensive. So because supposedly the pretend husband of my daughter, which is the classmate, he earns only 100,000 and Zoe earns 75,000. So 175,000 less all the taxes, then they have to live on that and be able to save 20%.
Oh.
So I heard them say, no, we just have one car. I'll pick you up there and then you just take the train and I'll pick you up. So see now, after they did that and they had babies, pretend babies were the eggs, you have to color them, and these eggs, if it breaks, you will not pass. Because you're supposed to take care of them, feed them, and you have to take pictures that you bring them to the nourishing, caring, feeding. You have to show them what food you feed them in the picture and amount, and then go to the park and what's family recreation and leisure.
Social development.
And then the pretense boy who's supposed to be the daddy said, do we afford maid? He said, yeah, one maid, because we will take care of them. Okay, how much is a maid? I said, 4,000 for one baby to take care of and take care of. He said, maybe 4,000 to 5,000. Okay, we just have one. And then he said, okay. And then they were saying, okay, how about the allowances? You have not put the allowance of the kids when they go to school already. Because now at the thing, you know what? They said, no, the maid will bring them bound. They will make sandwiches. And I said, yeah, but not all the time, because they will not feel like eating every day what's prepared in the food. I said, okay. So see, it opens up the eyes of our children that getting married is not
That easy.
easy, that there's responsibility. And that's how accounting was
was in the picture.
because you have to account for everything, the minus and plus. So I gave them a little bit of my accounting.
Applied mathematics.
From our self-reliance, that accounting, my business, how to do, I don't know whether you've gone through
The self-reliance program.
Yes, and I gave them the secret on how to do the accounting.
Financial management and financial literacy.
management, yes.
So that's under page 6 and page 7.
I think they do it practical now. Every homework, it's no longer you are the number one in the exam. No. It's how practical
It's not the
can you
measure.
show it. So everything now is played as a play.
Hands-on.
Yeah, staged. So you have to dress up for it to show it. For example, so everything now is good. It's on hands-on practical, not memorization.
Yeah, that should be the system, Miss Marlene. That should be the system of education. I mean to say, in the classroom setting, you just learn the theories. You just learn what we call the fundamentals, the basics. But out of it, at the end of the day, people or teachers, or should I say educators and education management or managers should be able to realize that what they put in or inculcate into the systems of these kids, of these pupils, of these children, of these students are not only the meaningful, should I say, researches and theories and theologies and the like, but of course the hands-on experience
And it
that
has
you
to
could
be
learn
fully
from.
understood.
Yeah. Nowadays, I hope that's what's that the name of the
Colegio San Agustin.
would be at the helm of that development in the Department of
I
Education.
think they're doing pretty well, but that's where all our coaches, executive coaches, what the school have not taught the international coaches, executive coaches,
Miss Vicki,
put the rest in it, especially if you read the book, Development Exponential Power. But anyhow, let's talk about it again another day. That's kind of interesting. So I hope in your school, taking up law, have you got good teachers?
I will not say no, I will not say yes. I say half-half.
Yeah.
Because in law school, we are so independent. we have really great, should I say, mentors, and we have really great educators and professors with regard to law system. The context of what I'm talking about is because somehow they are not really talking in the class, but they are really giving you cases. And in that cases, you need to be able to apply the provisions in the context of law. And in that cases, you have to realize that how many provisions and what could be the conflict of laws, or should I say the remedial of laws, that could be applied or applicable to those cases. Should I say mandated by the Supreme Court, or should I say held by the Supreme Court?
Yeah, but sometimes really the interpretation of law,
Because,
it depends how well you interpret it and how good you know that those laws.
And how much money you have.
That's true. That's true.
Very sad to know. Right, it still happens.
Miss
You know.
Vicki is
Oh, it
really
happens all the time.
No,
Go ahead, Miss Vicki.
you know what's in my mind?
Go ahead.
I recently encountered, and I think this is the technology available now because of the powerful way that Google has been able to really not just see the patterns of how words appear. Because if you think about cases, right, and then you're going to compare it with, which particular law
Applies,
was used, in this particular situation, the technology available now actually puts them together and even gives it to you, and they can even map it out in terms of how often this particular, let's say, word or wordings. Because if you think about it, the law has to be encoded, right? People have to be able to see it and review it. Otherwise, if it's just in your memory, good luck, right? And now with the technology of Google, they were able to really map it out and say, it's like this. You're given a case by your professor. You just go to Google, type it in, and then it's going to give you all the provisions.
That's
and
true.
then it's not going to be up to you to
That's
say,
right.
according to the plotting of the chart in the current year or in the past 10 years, it appeared this way, that these are the particular
Provisions,
provisions that has been used
Or
more and more.
jurisprudence, yeah.
And so, that was the one thing running in my mind. So I was thinking, what's going to be the new role of lawyers in the future?
Exactly.
To have a tool like that with you.
Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, we have, this is what we call SCRA. Electronic Supreme Court, should I say, annotations or annotated provisions. In that SCRA, or Electronic Supreme Court Annotation, there is what you call, there are so many, should I say, jurisprudence from 1800s, because 1898 to the present, except 2015, so it's very new. But when you say 2014 cases, it all runs down, every 2014 cases, from civil, criminal law, remedial law, conflict of laws, down to the taxation law, commercial law, and everything. So in that certain, what we call, we have to pay for about, should I say, I paid for 3 months, I paid for 3,250 just to download those cases that I really want to download. But it will stay with me, and I have the password for that, and I could be able to help 10 of my classmates, because I could be passed on to my 10 classmates by paying 3,225. For that, if you are really a student of that. If you are a non-student, you have to pay, I believe, 4,000 plus to be able to learn for your, what we call, guidance, for your knowledge guidance. In that specific context, I like Miss Vicki's, should I say, mindset of it should be like that. That's what we do in our class. I'll show you something. For example, in our class, what we do is when my
It's okay, he's back.
when my professor somehow is talking something about the cases, what we do is we open this, of course, our Wi-Fi, put that there, you log onto the S class, and once it's talking about, you know what my classmates are doing? Also, professor, in accordance to this provision, it says, how about this? So my professor kind of mad somehow because he's 73, 70, 68 years old. And of course, these ages of professors somehow, I'm not putting them down with regard to electronic gadgets, or should I say, the newest technology of online technology, of learning, of education. But when they are being bombarded with several questions in the class, they freak out.
course.
I'm so sorry because it's true because during the Marcos time
Now they cannot-
only
they
they
cannot-
only read and memorize.
Yes.
And you know what I myself I am a victim of that. I couldn't memorize certain provision for the reason that it's too long. You need to memorize from page 1 to 546.
Oh my goodness.
And it's only one law, madam. For example, criminal law is from page 1 to 500 criminal law only. How about this civil law code? You have several succession, obligation and contracts. You have partnerships. You have what we call family relations. You have civil, for example, land titles. You have sales. These are all provisions that you need to put into your brain and memorize them verbatim. If not,
The basics.
your should I say your clients will be in danger
Correct.
of losing the cases and the like. Ma'am Vicki, I like that question. So
But
much.
is that like being taking you took general practitioning okay. I wanted to my question. I wanted to compare to medicine. Being a law student, you have the main. You have to take the general.
Oh,
You
yes,
study
ma'am.
general medicine,
We
general
have-
law,
yeah, in the
then
law-
you go specialization.
Yeah, we in the law you are being taught general provisions of law.
First.
Jurisprudence first, but it's your decision to go for example,
Specialization.
like family, like criminal law.
Family law. So that's why you went there. Okay, before we proceed with more of our guest Dong Pacia, why he went to family law. Let's go for a short commercial and don't go away, Philippines. We'll be back for more. Okay, we're back. RPM revolutions per minute, accelerating your life this Saturday noontime. Okay, so yes, we were just talking about the educational system that we have in the Philippines, and then now, of course, there's so much imperfection yet with regards to our educational system. But then, let's talk about the law school where Dong Pacia is attorney, future attorney. Dong Pacia is going to Unibersidad de Manila if they're better. Of course, he says all other professors, they know what they're talking about, but how to facilitate sometimes, right? Because there's always it's an art to teach, and to be able to come across to the students and they understand what you're talking about, or to be interested and get their full attention. So we were talking about kanina Dong, about your education as in the law school. So it's so hard, right?
Opo.
So in medicine, we memorize all parts of the veins, every parts of the body, the anatomy, and then you have to memorize that too, and their functions. So I could just imagine as a general practitioner, and then you can specialize as a pediatrician, you can specialize in heart, bones or kidney, so it's the same with law.
Yes. In law, you are given general provisions, but it's up to you if you will practice solely. For example, I'd like to go with the corporate law, so I need to be able to determine myself to be more, to be more knowledgeable with regard to obligations and contracts, with regard to sales, taxation, commercial law, because those are part of what we call corporate law.
Yes.
But if I'd like to delve into criminal law, of course, I need to not only memorize, but I need to learn specifications of penal code of the Philippines. And the added, should I say, provisions and the added laws with regard to the lawmaking body of our government, which is the Congress and the Senate. If you want to go to civil law, like for example, family relationships, like for example, the cases of annulment, the cases of legal separation, all the cases of lands, disputes, and the like.
So these are civil laws. So, and this is part of the family laws, right?
Yes.
And is that where you're going into now? Specialized?
No, we have what we call subjects and courses for that. Civil law. We have civil law 1 and 2. Under that, we have obligations and contracts, family relations, persons and family relations.
Yeah.
We have succession. We have sales. So those are part of the civil law. When you say criminal law, we have criminal 1 and 2. Like for example, the jurisprudence on the penalties. Reclusion perpetua, reclusion, shall I say, prison mayor. So you need to know how many years when you give sentence to a verdict to a certain suspect or to the one who is a plaintiff, you should be able to realize that perfectly, because if you made a very, should I say, mistake with regard to the penalties, syempre, kawawa naman
Of
yun.
course. And then one day, another lawyer will come to represent that very...
Although there is an
and
appeal.
open the case and for the appeal, and they found out that you as a lawyer did not represent him well. Then you could take your license out, right?
Yeah, you will be disbarred.
Or you
We
can
call
be
it
disbarred,
disbarment.
yes. Yeah. Okay.
Malpractices.
Malpractices. So, let's concentrate today on family law. You know, because there's so many marriages in the Philippines. They've been
Yes,
married for 14 years, and the other will just marry somebody, or live in with another, and live in with the other person to both sides, and then they will have children. So, what do you think should be done? Should there be really a divorce?
If you're going to ask me, I know this is a very striking question.
Yeah. Are you for divorce?
Because I was not born with that kind of concept of divorce. My father and mother, although my mother has only one husband, my father has 3 wives. So, but very
both
striking
accept.
question. But that's very striking question on my part, diba? I mean, that's very. So to say, I'm on the hot seat right now. It's very, it's very striking.
Sensitive.
But, if we are talking about international law, not international law meaning, but international law with regard to the other countries who are practicing divorce, because of they have what we call family problems and should I say husbands and wives relationship problems or concerns or challenges, I believe we need to sit down, the lawmaking body of the government, specifically the Congress and the Senate, should be able to sit down and think. This is not really an easy job, and think deeply if this divorce is kind of applicable to the Philippine setting.
What do you think? Personally?
Personally, nowadays, it should be. It should be. But because I was born during the martial law, because the government, I'm not, should I say, raising up Marcoses so much, but because of my education, that family should be together. Family, the sanctity of marriage should be intact with the husband and wife. Kasi when you get married, isn't it that you consolidated with partnerships with your husband and with your wife?
Yeah.
Isn't it that when you get married, you consolidate among yourself that we should do this and these are plans? But the question is, why do they break up? Like my father, very striking question again, like my father and my mother, they broke up. They have 16 children or 17 children, and my father has 3 wives. It's so painful to us children to see that my father has what we call 3 wives, and in different occasions like Christmas time, he should be in our house. During the summertime, he should be with the other house. During the New Year's time, he should be in the other
So
house.
how come your mother did not sue him?
My mother, that's a very striking question because my mother doesn't know the law. That's why if you understand, I'm taking my law now, so latter years of
You
my
gotta
life.
teach them.
I could have been a lawyer 20 years back, 15 years back, but because of my family's, should I say, not problem, but because of my family's circumstances, I really would like to delve what's in it, the psychological structure of law.
Correct.
Not only, we're not talking about law per se, I mean, say the meaning and the context of law, but we're talking about its application to the moral values of the family, to the psychological structure of the children, specifically. Because I was a victim of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But are you for the pro-divorce? Because that's one of the things that's being discussed in the Congress now.
Yeah,
I'm shaking.
for a certain point of view with regards to the particular conversation of divorce, I really want to, put also in the conversation Bjorn's clarity with regards to why law has to be part of, the existence of human beings or humans.
Yeah, so to me, there's always the only reason to have laws in the first place is because there's no values in society, right? If society has values that we all can all agree on,
Then we don't need
then we
laws.
wouldn't need laws because everybody would live by those values, right? But for some reason, societies, and not just this one, societies in general, they focus more on laws than on the values, which is sort of a shame because just because you follow the law doesn't make you a good human being.
That's true.
Right?
That's
That's just the minimum requirement.
I'm sorry for that.
Right? That's the minimum requirement.
You said the spirit of the law.
No, he has, how shall I call him? I'm sorry.
Bjorn!
Sir Bjorn. Sir Bjorn has a very great concept of universal law. In the law context per se, it's a guidance. The principles guidance for you to be able to have a good life. That in authoritative law we say that the law is given, even the divine law, the Mosaic law,
Correct.
even the divine law as well as the law of the land.
Yes.
Should I say, both of them were given to man for their what we call welfare and development. But, as what he said, people are somehow, because of their freedom of choice, because of their own choices in life, I'm not saying about like my father, but it's really on that certain context, but because of the freedom of choice of a certain human being or us human beings, we are able to, we committed such mistakes, and that mistake somehow, if we're committed, we need to be penalized or punished for the crimes or for the what we call the wrongdoings that we committed. For example, basic example, in the traffic law, in the traffic scheme, you know that the pedestrian is there, but you keep on passing the pedestrian so fast. In America, I'm so sorry for that, for being so American, but in America, because American is so, should they say, strict with regard to that law.
Yeah.
Here in the Philippines, specifically in Manila region, I'm so sorry for that. Shoot me if you want, but that's what I was, because I'm a victim of that. The cars rush so much, and then they don't stop at the pedestrian. That's not, should I say, a very practical manner of, should I say, with regard to the law of the land in the traffic scheme law.
Yeah.
And people, why they are doing that? They were not educated. They don't know. Why? Because when they get their license, they just get their license, take a picture, and like that, that's it. Enough, click, you get your license. So, but there's no 2 to 3 hours, should I say, educating them. Oh guys, you need to learn that when this pedestrian is there, you need to do this kind of, should I say, how many kilometers per hour. You have to stop a little bit, what to do with that, and let the pedestrian pass.
And then the examination.
I'm so sorry, because that's what I've noticed. Simple, basic.
How's the examination being done here?
I'm so sorry. I was there. I got my license last November, my birthday. So every birthday.
So didn't you try? Aren't you
No, we
supposed
don't
to
have. I'm so
practice?
sorry. Shoot me if they want, but there's no test driving.
Oh, thank goodness! I learned driving in
Shoot me if they
America.
want.
Oh my God.
Shoot me if they want. There's no test
In
driving.
Germany, you gotta take at least 30 hours
Yes,
of driving,
I know
driving
that.
instruction.
Yes, sir.
And you're probably going to have another 40 hours in theoretical.
Yes.
Yeah, theoretical examination.
And then you have to study 3,000 questions, right? Out of which you will be asked 30. And out of those 30, you can only have 2 wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they can choose any out of those 3,000. Yeah. And so you really have to study hard.
Exactly
You
right.
really
That's why
study hard.
Germany has lesser accidents. Huh?
Exactly right. Even in Denmark,
Yeah.
if you have noticed Denmark,
Very, very strict.
The happiest country on earth.
Yeah.
because how I wish. but
I was just
I was born here.
talking about that. I was just talking to my daughter in a few seconds. He was able to, it just went 5 kilometers more. So the minimum is 100, right? It just went 105 because you're talking, sometimes you go overboard. And that's what I did also when I was doing in EDSA going to Montemar, Bataan. Sometimes you say, oh my gosh, I'm on 105. She was caught right away. Somebody was waiting there in few minutes. 15,000 pesos. And if you do it 3 times, they will get your license and you cannot drive for 2
Well,
years.
In the Philippines,
So then you have to be careful.
in the Philippine system,
In Denmark.
Oh,
in the Philippine system, it's you are going to take an exam. You will be given a copy for 2 hours before the exam.
Oh yeah.
There will be
Memorize
50
it.
questions. You need to memorize 25 of them
Out of 50.
out of 50.
Wow, that's so easy.
Yeah, you memorize them. Of course, you can memorize. You know why? Because they're only symbols. They're only words. You see, he's laughing. I believe he knows. They're only words and symbols. Like, for example, crossing pedestrian with the pregnant and the like. What is that? You just give the meaning. My goodness, even the grade 6 pupils can understand that and can learn that.
you know, I remember
I'm sorry.
when I took that exam.
Yeah, so you know, Madam
You know,
Vicki.
I was young, so I'm very competitive in terms of exams.
Yes, po.
I really memorized everything. But even though I retook it again because I didn't want any mistake,
Correct.
it was like a program wherein you really have to have a mistake. That's why when you said that get all the answers correct and allowed only 2
Two mistakes.
Yeah.
Here, by
Yeah, but,
design, they will have you at least have 1 mistake.
I agree to her.
Really?
Yeah, I agree to her.
Yeah.
Because you need to perfect them, or if not, you need to do something under the table. She knows that. I agree to her. And not only that, when we have this what we call this type of we have what we call what's that? A drug test.
Before.
This time before we don't have any drug test. This time you need to have a drug test. You have to submit your your specimen, the urine specimen. After 3 minutes, you get the result.
So how
the laboratory is there, the side.
Oh yeah, but that they took it out because it's useless. They said, right? There's so many drug addicts who drugs. So anyway, but for me, I
It's so
really,
scary.
Yeah, correct, Marlene.
but that's why these laws, they really have to when they pass on certain laws like driving laws, guys like you should really be there and read and do whether is this good enough.
No, that's what happened to me when I came here. If you notice me at the other street, I'm talking to someone.
Yeah.
That's the yellow
Yes.
yellow guy. I'm talking to him because I was a victim of the pedestrian a while ago. The taxi is rushing so much, and I keep on pointing my fingers down because the pedestrian is still not there up. So I keep on putting that.
Doesn't even understand probably.
And I said this. I'm talking, read my lips and pedestrian, and the driver keep on.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And then the yellow guy came, and the yellow guy said, "What happened? Excuse me, aren't you noticed that this is pedestrian? He's rushing, his car, his taxi is really, rushing too
Towards
fast.
me.
At the same time, you know that this pedestrian said, oh, sir, yes. Did you see that he stopped that car and then you hold
Then
me to
he
the
should get his license now.
No, because Makati, I believe, is one of the
You know what I
prominent
do?
cities.
When I'm in the pedestrian and they're still rushing, I said, and then I walk, I really do my stuff.
And maybe I'll do that next time.
We should see Marlene gesturing right now.
Yeah, I know. I would really go to stop. I would say, you stop it.
Trying to stop the imaginary traffic.
Everybody will look at me and say, what the hell is she doing? So everybody really stopped, all of them on both sides.
That will really get me attention.
But the worst part is that the police doesn't even know the traffic laws.
Yeah, sometimes.
And this was very obvious to me a few years ago when they started installing left turn arrows, right? In
Yes,
some lanes,
yes.
Right? There was a yellow left turn arrow and a green left turn arrow. But when there was no arrow on, they would still give you a ticket for making a left turn, even though there was a green light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah, they would still give you a ticket. So until this day, even though there's a green light, people will not make a left turn, even because there is sometimes a red arrow, right? Sometimes.
How sad.
No, there's not even a red arrow. There's sometimes a green arrow and sometimes a yellow arrow, but there's never a red arrow. So when it's green, by international law, you can go in any direction. Yeah.
That's
And
true.
I had to educate once a police officer on this because
It should be part of our land transportation, should I say, bureau.
Yeah, he was trying to give me a ticket because I made a left turn on a green light.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And of course,
why would I not make a left turn here? It's a green light. But, sir, you have to be aware that sometimes there is a green arrow, right?
It said that.
I said, do you know what time it is? It's about 10:30. And then, so there's no lights out. And how would I know that there's sometimes a green arrow?
And
Driving in the pitch black, right?
Yeah.
How would I know that? He had no answer, right? I said, by international law, if there's a green light,
Yeah.
I can go in any direction
Yeah.
unless there is a red arrow saying I cannot go in that
Yeah,
direction.
yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Right?
Ma'am, it's so sad, Ma'am Vicki, Ma'am Marlene, no? Sir Bjorn is it an American or
German American.
Both
German
German
American?
American.
Would you believe a German American guy talking about the system in the context of the Philippine law? It's so sad. And he's educating, he's educating a Filipino should be able to be more knowledgeable with regard to the traffic scheme law.
That's why sometimes
Diba, Ma'am Vicki?
But I did take the 2-hour exam.
You did? Miss Ma'am Vicki, I did that when November 10, that was my birthday, I perfected it.
But I did that too, but I remember they even tested me how to go up so steep and go down.
Yeah.
In manual. I passed it. And then I took my examination because it was for my safety.
But there's a
So
lot
I
of
really
drivers
wanted-
out there, they don't know how to
Yeah.
drive, They go either on the bottom of the hill, or
Yeah.
on the top of the hill.
And then anyway,
It's so
okay.
funny,
Yes. Thank you,
I
Sir
am
Bjorn.
laughing because I could relate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so loss in the Philippines.
Well, it's nice, no? The topic is nice, no?
Yeah,
It's so, should I say,
it's funny.
it's conglomerate on all.
Lighthearted, frustrating,
Yeah,
and
it
funny at the same
But
time.
that's why sometimes I call our country sorry. The Monkey Republic still, because there's still many people who doesn't
And
understand.
mind you,
So I call them
2016.
monkeys. Sorry.
No, I mind you, 2016 is the year of the monkey.
Oh, then the more we're
Sorry
gonna
for
have.
that. I mean, that's the reality.
We're gonna shoot you
Okay.
when you're leaving.
There are actually cultures wherein, I forgot.
In India?
right?
Yeah, in India,
One of their most wise gods.
God is the monkey.
Yeah.
The monkey
The monkey god,
The
yeah.
monkey God.
Really?
Yes. The
Supposedly.
wisest. No, that's according to what we call we call Mahabharata. We're teaching literature actually. One of the great Indian epic, Mahabharata, is really, Ma'am Vicki is right. This is one of the, should I say, epic characters of the Mahabharata. That Indian monkey is really that
See,
intelligent.
that's an
Not
Indian
only-
monkey.
I'm
talking about the Philippine monkey.
My gosh, even in the monkey there is a nationality.
Sir Rizal were
No, I mean, but still, Filipinos are very smart. In Asia, they're still really
Yeah.
rank good as to
Yeah.
employees and all like that.
Like-
if they have to choose between different Asian
Countries.
they will still prefer Filipinos who are educated.
But you gotta differentiate between IQ and EQ. I think
Mhm.
Filipinos are very high in terms of IQ.
Mm-hmm.
Very high, very high.
I think that book, Ma'am
EQ
Vicki, I
too.
knew that one.
The women.
I believe it's
Women.
stated there. Yeah.
Women, yeah.
Women.
I will agree with that.
Women has high EQ
No,
and IQ.
no, Sir Bjorn is very
Happy wife, happy
the
life.
TQM, I believe Ma'am Vicki knows that the total quality management method is not for IQ development more. It is more on the emotional quotient method. That, when you are a boss, when you are a manager, when you are the president, even the president of a nation, sometimes your intellectual capacity is not being measured by how you decide upon on a certain thing or certain provision on a certain mandate in the republic or in the nation. But sometimes your heart, your emotional quotient is really being measured by the people, by your subordinates. And that's very important. Ma'am Vicki, I need to have that book as soon as possible so that I can promote it.
Bjorn almost ran, but we're getting that. You felt your desire.
I'll forget it, forget it. We have a commercial break.
Okay, we were talking about why there are laws. I think
2 minutes.
we're going for commercial. Why there are laws?
Yeah.
Because if there are no
Pause
laws,
for the commercial.
traditional cultural differences,
Yeah.
traditional differences. Otherwise, this will be in chaos. That's why we need laws. Philippines don't go away. We'll talk more about funny laws that we have in this country. Okay, don't go away.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir Bjorn.
A minute. Okay, accelerating your life and just talking about funny things in the Philippines, I think, instead of talking about family laws. But yeah, there are certain laws in the Philippines that are not really. We are so flexible, right?
No, laws should be flexible, of
You know,
course.
there are
But
times when
we are not, usually say, we don't have that, should I say, that teeth.
no, we don't have the teeth
We don't have the teeth, we don't have the pants.
or the
To be
iron.
able to anchor
Class.
the real context of law when it should be mandated and promulgated and executed. Right. The word executed, right.
But there should be humane too, as you were saying, right? You are more of the letter of the law instead of the spirit.
You have to be more, sometimes you need to be more spirit of the law than the letter of the law.
Yeah, but here in the Philippines, we are very soul, spiritual law. Because sometimes when you say you made a mistake, sometimes I've made a mistake, and I said, oh no, but the mistake is not my mistake. It's because the how do you call this? The names of places or the streets is not written well. Just like when you go to EDSA, you don't know whether this is the Baclaran, this is going to Alabang, this is going to Manila.
Because the sign
Yeah,
is
the
very
sign
misleading.
is misleading. It's too far away. By the time
The
you
sign
arrive
is-
there, oh, it said that is Baclaran on that side. This is Alabang, and this is going back to Manila. So then one time I swore, he said it should be 100 meters away. I should have chosen, right? But I could not see where I was going. So then I was crying at the little guy, "No!" in English. I said, I'm sorry, I don't know. I said, you know what? You should tell whoever's in charge here to better make all the signs 50 meters away before we go to where we want to go. So
Readable
I
sign.
said, and then when you speak English and they cannot answer you back in English, they say, okay, go, go, go.
Ma'am Vicki. I like Ma'am
But
Vicki's
you see,
gestures,
there are-
when she realized she just so silent and then expressly
one time I even
very
cried.
should I say what you call that how to call that very what do you call that in a womanly demure, very demure way.
But sometimes I cried. I just screamed and cried. I said,
Why?
how could I not know? I said, it's not clear. I'm sorry, I don't know.
You
And then
freaked
I
out.
started freaked out and I cried. He said, Mom, don't cry. They might think I'm doing something for you. Go, 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 go.
Wow, you have a
Many
great
times.
you have a great dramatic escape from that.
Yeah, but they felt that I was frustrated. I'm in a hurry and all that. You know, and there were times
Understandable.
they stopped me in. You're not allowed to turn right anymore from Landmark, you know. But Landmark going to Makati Ave. I didn't know that you're not supposed to do that. Before you can do turn right anytime. Now you have to wait for the green light. And I was caught and I didn't know that there was a new. And I said, I was crying. I said, no, I'm in a hurry. If my father dies, my dad already died, so I can use it. If my father dies in the hospital, it's your fault. I'm supposed to sign his operation. I said, before there was no turn right, turn left. I used to. Yeah, but it's new law. But I don't know. Can I be given one chance? And if you see my car in my face again, then catch me. And if you talk to me longer, my dad will die in the hospital. Okay, go.
You really have that?
Oh my gosh!
But
She has the guts to say, I would call that you full of nerves to say that.
No, because, you know, if I say
Look at Ma'am Vicki.
which is, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't know, then they'll say, give me your car. But then if you're really in a hurry, I was in a hurry, I have to make a funny excuse. I said, sorry dad, I know you're dead already, so I can use you. My dad is dying in the hospital, you better let me go now. Then I cried, I don't like the ticket, I screamed, I don't like the ticket, no, I don't like. And then I just don't want to see him and go, I said, okay, go. Because I'm causing traffic.
Yeah, it's true.
But there is a spiritual law. See, Filipinos are still very accommodating. That's the beauty. It's
But
going to
no,
be in German.
that's the beauty of the culture. You talk about the
Correct.
culture, but in the law, it's not. there is what we call the Latin maxim of law, jura lex sed lex. What is law, even the law is harsh.
Yeah.
Meaning, you need to execute the law into its proper context when you have done things wrongly. And if the things that you have done wrongly, should I say coupled, or should I say has this kind of civil liability or criminal liability, the law must be executed right. Again, dura lex sed lex, the legal maxim of law. The law is law, even the law is harsh. Meaning say, ignorance of the law excuses no one. Ignorance excusat. Ang ibig sabihin. No? So when we talk about that in the law, because sometimes a basic example of that, our professor said, "Oh class, next week we are going to talk about the provisions on civil cases, but you have to learn your what we call family code, and then civil code number 15, 16, 17, that is intrinsic and extrinsic validity of law." And then he said that, you know what we did? I failed to understand the number 17. But he said that. But in the culture, as human being, as a professor, it's understandable, I'm a working student. 9 hours to 10 hours maximum work a day. And then comes 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock law classes. You are really bombarded with this, and you have to, it is not the fault of your professor because you take that law freely by your agency.
Yeah.
And you need to do that because that's a responsibility.
Correct.
You know what I said? "I'm so sorry, Judge. I did not memorize the provision. I don't know." He said, "Sit down. I'll give you 65. He said, "The law is law, even the law is harsh." Because he said that a week ago. What I'm trying to say is that basic. You know, when you did something wrong, you need to be very responsible for your action.
Yeah.
Although it's understandable that you committed mistakes. Sorry for that. But in the state context of law, when you committed something which is really wrong, you need to be very responsible for your action.
But it takes maturity also on the part of the person to say, "Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, it's my fault.
Just please say
It's my
sorry."
responsibility." But sometimes we don't. You know, Filipinos is still, why? You say, "You committed a crime." And you say, "Really? How?" Even you know you did already, right? Because they're not, like traffic laws, it's not perfect. The way they put their signs, the way they do things, it's not as perfect as it should be. But anyway, alright, so, what are the other laws? How about being a student of laws? Now you're taking up family laws, right?
Yeah, family relations.
Family relations.
Persons and family relations. Dong. D-O-N-G.
Okay, so do you think there's a teeth on our A9262? That's one of the laws that protects women and children.
The Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act. The 2004, this 9262 or Act 9262 of 2004 was mandated by the Senate, specifically during the time of Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo. So it is a conglomeration or combined House bills. When you say House bills, a bill that is being enacted, or should I say made or created. In a layman's term, created or made, but in the real context of law, enacted.
Yeah, enacted.
Laws, a bill. I have to read it right so that the audience or the people out there would be able to get the right number of this. He says that this act, which is a consolidation of Senate Bill number 2723 or 2723, and the House Bill numbers 5516 and 6054. Why I'm so emphatic about those numbers? Because when you promulgate a law, it should be consistent and direct. Because if you misread or should I say pronounce or the meaning, it has a bearing on your law practice.
Correct.
Okay, so it says this was finally passed by the Senate and the House of Representatives, the lower house and the upper house. So the Congress has two houses. The lower house comprises of the Congress and the upper house comprises of the Senate. And on January 29, 2004, during the time of our former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, and February 2, 2004. In my analysis of this act, this 9262, this act is more on, should I say, very sexist, very feminist. Because of course, women and their children. Why? Because you can see, whether we like it or not, the context of the Philippine setting is not so mature with regard of treating women right.
That's why we need protection.
And mind you, Miss Marlene, Miss Vicki, Miss Marlene, mind you, would you believe that this law was only promulgated 2004?
It's actually what I was realizing, it's a very young law.
Very.
Yeah,
Would you
around
believe?
12 years.
Would you believe, Ma'am Vicki, Ma'am Marlene, not only a very young law, women are existing already since the very beginning in this Philippine archipelago, 7,107. So they say 101 island, 106 island, 107 island. Would you believe in those 1800s, 1500s, 1600s, there were already women during those times? And you see this law, 2004, so sad.
Only, right?
I'm so sorry. That's a fact. My professor cannot really give me, flat grade for this, but I believe they could give me a 100% grade for this. I read it for a fact.
Yeah.
In that law, significantly, if I may read some of the section, specifically in section, basic section of section 36, 37, 38, 39, and 40. The law has section to that agency of the government should have a proper program and services for the women who are victims of this law.
We have now women's desk.
Question. Women's desk, is that significant? Question. I'm so sorry. Although that I supposed to be, should I say, the one protecting this kind of mandate, but I am the one questioning right now. Is it significant? You place the women's desk to the left side or to the right side of a certain precinct when you go there. Or question, it should be the women's desk should be placed all throughout the agency wherein women who are battered women, who are what we call victims of rapes, etc., could be able to have a smooth and easy access to this. And there should be a prepared question mark, because there should be a prepared lawyers, public authorities already present whenever there is what we call this kind of problem arises. They were present there, or they are present there, and to be able to what? To welcome and to be able to accommodate the victims of this. Question, who will you see there? A police guy, a police woman who doesn't know anything about this law?
Correct.
A certain clerical person who just read about this, interpretation-wise, he or she doesn't know. Why? Why will I know? I am not even a lawyer. I'm not even a student of law. I'm so sorry, Ma'am Vicki, for being so straight.
I am a victim of that RA 9262.
That's the reality bites. Even I'm so sorry, but some, I'm not just putting it in generalization. Some practitioner of law, some lawyers per se, who are already this ITTY done, already attorney got their bar exam, passed the bar exam, and got that license. Some of them even have the mistakes of the misconception of applying these principles. And these are doctrinal issues. This is a hard issue with regard to, for example, if I may read it straight, it says in section 40, mandatory programs and services for victims. The DSWD, the Department of Social Works, Social Welfare and Development, and the local government units shall provide the victims with temporary shelters, provide counseling, psychological and social services. I love this book. And all for recovery, rehabilitation programs. And mind you, madam, if you are being left out by your husbands or by the husbands or by the men, it even says here, and livelihood assistance. Who said it? The government. So that's why there are many, I'm so sorry for being so straightforward about this, but so that's why you will see a lot of women, 17, 18, 19, 20, on the early 20s, are selling selling their bodies to be able to live and to be able to feed poor. So they say 4 children, 2 children, because they were being left out with husbands.
Correct.
And you see them in the streets. And I'm so sorry for that state. You can even see them now here.
Yeah, and it's so unfair. I go to this one of the famous Gabriela Silang or whatever. I wanted them to help me for 9262 because I didn't have money to pay 50,000 for lawyers. I said, why don't I make use of a Gabriela Silang
The Gabriela.
for fighting?
Gabriela.
Yeah, a Gabriela. I'm sorry, not Silang. Who's fighting for the rights of women. You know what? They could not even help me because they said, I look rich, I'm rich. I said, not all rich people are rich. There are poor rich women whose money was taken out from their husband. They only look rich, but they have nothing to pay a lawyer. And that's why one of me, like me, want to come to you and help me.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, if I can stand up on my own, maybe I'll give you some donations that in payment to what you've done.
For the services that you've
I
done.
was not able to do any. They were not able to do anything. So I go to the
Public
family
attorney's
Then
office.
they will tell you again, where do you live? Of course I live. I cannot say I live in the squatter. I said I live in San Miguel Village. And they said, oh no, you're not entitled. I said, I have a home, but I don't have money. I said, it was all taken out. And it's a struggle. But because it's 9262, and I argued to them, I said, that law is not for the rich and the poor. It's for every Filipino woman who needs help. So you better do this. I said, well, I put you in the newspaper, I told them. So one of the FAO gave me, because I know people there, so they gave me a fiscal tour for something.
That's so sad, Another thing in the law context, connections.
Yeah.
Like for example, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I mean, I am a friend of this judge. I am a student of this professor who happened to be a judge in the family court number 2, for example. Or I am a student of this professor who is now a legal advisor for this certain industry or certain corporation who's so prominent in the Philippines. Should I say that? Should I say that and always add that to my credentials, that to be able to get help?
Yeah.
Isn't it that in Article 3, in the Bill of Rights, the Constitution of the Philippines is stated and mandated that the protection of the law should be equal. There should be no rich, no poor.
Correct.
That specifically should be taught not only properly, emphatically by those would-be lawyers now. Why? Because the ones teaching them are supposed to be the examples and the models for this execution of law. Because somehow, they themselves, who don't know that, where do you live? That is already a discrimination.
Correct.
You mean that if I live in a good place, you will help me because I have something in my pocket that could be, that could be out to help you also. Yeah, it's a symbiotic relationship. Yeah, accept that. However, isn't it that when you get your license, it is stated that I will be of help to the citizen of this Philippine nation, for this republic, that I will be there no matter what to support and protect for the rights and welfare of the citizen of this nation. It's there. It's there verbatimly. Question, do they realize those words? And when they realize those words, do they analyze those words? And when they analyze those words, do they realize how to implement and execute them with themselves? When people are looking for help like you, do they realize that? I'm so sorry for
No,
being
they don't. But luckily, I know how to question and answer them, so I get what I want. But again, if you force yourself into them, again, money talks.
Yeah.
Still, the one who gets paid
Would you believe?
wins.
Would you believe that the DSWD were given appropriated funds for this? Don't you know that? It's
Yes,
true.
they have.
During the promulgation in the Senate, the DSWD will get a certain slash or a certain, should I say, pinch should I say the word pinch because it's so little, a certain pinch of the billions and trillions budget by the national government, because that is an agency of the government and it's for the people. Would you believe they have that program for
I
this?
better read all the thing again.
No. Why I'm telling this? Just because I am not putting it into a high-minded contextual of law student per se, but this supposed to be known and this supposed to be disseminated right and inform the public right with regard, kasi when you say information, the public, may it be non-educated, educated, or should I say matured or non-matured ones, should be able to realize what is this law. In the context of law, if the people cannot understand the law per se in the English language, you have to use that in their tongue, in their own language, so that you could be able to put across what principles you would like them to learn.
You know what? It should be a part of our educational system. Before you graduate,
It's also, like
the family code should be given in every student
yeah.
before he graduates high school.
Because I do remember when I was in high school, we were so well versed with regards to what's happening in the region.
Exactly right.
Like there's
Region 1, Region 2, geography.
Not even that. It's even the regional countries
The-
of
the-
other countries.
Oh, see?
But this one, I never remember taking an exam.
I'm having a goosebump right now. You know?
Yeah.
No, just because, ma'am, yun diba? I mean, we do hope, in the Philippines archipelago listeners, we do hope that you somehow will be touched by this episode, by this segment, that somehow this segment, it may not be this kind of prominent one, but it could be a niche that you will realize how important it is to understand the basic law for your welfare and safety.
Yeah, your basic rights, actually.
And be able to realize the basic rights of the citizen of this nation.
Yes.
And
As
we're
a
calling your
woman,
attention
as a man, as
to
a child.
whoever are really hearing this segment right now.
Yes, and I hope really they're listening. I'm sure they're listening. Actually, the government monitors all the radio stations.
Let's talk a little bit about the future of this law. It's a very fresh law, but it only includes women and children. Now, the new trend is that it also should include men, because men also do get abused, right?
Now we have...
And you're laughing, right?
Yeah.
That's usually why men don't report it, because they're being laughed at, right?
Yes, that's right, exactly right.
Yeah, so in the Western world, men are more and more included now in the laws to also have those same benefits. So.
Exactly right. Sir Bjorn has a great question about that. Actually, we have this kind of discussion with my professor. That was last semester. Your very question was raised, and my classmate beside me said, "Excuse me, sir, isn't it unfair that you always talk about battered women? How about battered men? How about men who are victims of women who, because of their, because of their wickedness, and because of their what we call desires, and the my professor said, yeah, me too." In the context of in discussing, but it's supposedly the law is not only for women. The law is not only for men. It directly states that equal protection of rights. But the problem with this 9262 is very sexist. As I said a while ago during the preliminary discussion of ours, I said that our law with regard to the promulgation of law mandated throughout the Philippines, it's so sexist, very sexist. But the problem, even though if it's sexist for women, it's not really being executed right.
Yeah, but
and you are one.
I think the reason why they enacted on that bill very fast is because men is supposed to protect and lead women and put them to safety. These are the three main responsibilities of man: to protect us, to give us safety, and to lead us in righteousness. We're supposed to be dependent on you. But then when you abuse us, many are being abused actually. We are the weaker side. Women are considered to be weaker.
That's actually,
children.
That's the one principle. That's why this law was promulgated, because that principle of yours was part of this, that the weaker, the weaker sex, women are the weaker sex. Now let me read, because we were talking a while ago, during he pointed out, Mr. Bjorn pointed out that letter D, it says that under the number 43, section 42 of this bill, it says that the legal duties imposed on police officers to make arrests and to offer protection and assistance to what? Assistance to what? Assistance to who? It should be also assistance to men. Assistance to men who were, should I say, victims of, should I say, battery, you call it battery in the context of law. Men who are victims of, should I say, women who are so, should I say, desirous to be able to get gain for themselves.
But there's not much cases about that. Men
There are
being battered, but few.
There are,
There
but
That's
they
very
don't,
common.
they're too ashamed to come forward.
Yeah, because you know why? Because men is powerful sex. I mean to say, on the strong
Well,
side.
at least on the physical
Yeah.
side, right?
Yeah, probably harassment from your female bosses, yes. But from a female
like
at home, I think you can.
And that's exactly why men don't come forward, because they get ridiculed by people like what you just said.
You are a man. You are strong enough. Why is it that women tries to empower you?
I think there should be a part of this talk.
Overpowering you, so to say.
There should be a part of this talk because it's really a must that we must know our rights. Your rights. Maybe it's time that people will hear
Either we're
that they have to
equal or
kill
we're
the
not.
men.
Are we equal or we're not equal? That's
Yes,
the question.
correct, right?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah,
We talk about issues.
I think that probably they will do another part of that law for men protection of men's
No, you
rights
should just
too.
say people, right? People are people.
Yeah, but women, there's more battered women in this country and battered children than battered men.
Most likely.
Yeah.
There's still a lot more men than there's publicly known, is my sense.
Because it was not
more
publicized.
Yes.
It was not
They don't come
publicized.
out. They don't come out. It's too embarrassing.
Yeah, but I mean, the cases of many things that battered women is like it's more common. That's why probably they have to do that, the protection of women and children.
And don't you know, another thing, in a follow-up of that, don't you know that the barangay should have the assistance for battered women?
Supposedly.
No, it's here, section 14.
Oh no, then we have
Madam,
to start
it's here.
attacking the barangay and the
let me-
government for not doing their jobs well done.
Allow me to read it in a context.
Okay,
It says,
summary.
Section 14, it says, Barangay Protection Orders, BPOs, who may have issue and how about this law, will be the protector and should I say, ordering all the barangay to have this kind of law in their own barangay.
You know what? You should run for a Congress and I'll support you. We'll call it the family first.
Family
You
first
know?
party.
Family
Party
first.
is-
No, really. Because there's so many things to be added and they have to act and put the teeth onto those laws for protection of women and children. The 7610 also
Yes,
we have to
ma'am.
talk about that. But we don't have any more time and it's going to be equal justice time. But Tom, can you come again next Saturday if you can? Maybe we continue
you.
this because it's
Thank
kind of
you.
interesting,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And then maybe we can review. I want to buy the family code. I have a family code book, a small
No,
one.
you buy this
Do you
because
have
this-
one?
No, you buy this kasi
Oh,
this
I
one
buy
is
that.
for academic purposes.
Oh, I buy that.
This one kasi is for
Yeah.
provision. It's so hard. This
Because-
one has an explanation
Because
for
I
what's
want to
needed.
be your assistant for if
Yeah.
you become the congressman for party list family first. Okay, Don, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
for
Thank you, madam. Thank you, ma'am.
our
Thank you, Sir
show.
Bjorn. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you
Yes,
also.
and thank you, my dear
Thanks for
co-host.
buying my book.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
And thank you, Philippines. And hopefully, you'll be interested to listen to tune again on Saturday. And I will force our friend, future attorney Dong Pacia, to talk more about our rights as women, as children, and as husbands. All right.
Much
and do call
success
in
to
next-
you. Huh?
Yeah, thank you so much. Sir.
Goodbye, Philippines. Stay tuned for equal justice.
Bye!
Bye.
Bye.